Do you feel that the end of the year came too soon and too much is expected from you? Join me getting away from it all by making a stress-free abstract collage while at the same time you're creating 8 beautiful, unique Christmas cards. For artists and creatives, especially those of us with chronic illness and fatigue, the expectations this time of year can be overwhelming. If you're like me, you can also not believe that Christmas is just around the corner. Maybe you're tired, body, mind and spirit, and even thinking about getting ready for the Christmas festivities feels too much. That's okay. If you're feeling overwhelmed, try this relaxing Christmas-inspired abstract collage with me. Grab an A3 size of watercolor or mixed media paper and some washi or masking tape. Block off the paper in 8 equally sized blocks. It doesn't matter if they're not exactly the same size. I'm just eyeing it, but if you want to, you can measure it. Start off by making marks all over the paper. Pretend that it's one big piece of paper. Don't mind the tape. Use whatever materials you prefer. I started with a graphite pencil as well as red and green water-soluble crayons. I made lines all over the paper without looking. You can also use your non-dominant hand if you want. The idea is to let your emotions out while forgetting about the pressure that you're under. I then dripped some gold and silver acrylic ink over it. If you don't have acrylic ink, you can use fluid paint or paint that you've watered down. I sprayed it with a bit of water. I tilted the paper to let the ink run over it. I take some tissue paper and I press lightly on the wet ink. I can use this paper for collage later on. Leave a comment if you find preparing for Christmas overwhelming and tell me how you're finding your own quiet kind of joy this time of the year. Before I continue, I dry everything thoroughly. For this collage, I'm not using my own painted papers. Instead, I use papers from fast food restaurants, scrapbook paper, a paper bag from the pharmacy, and old paper crowns that came with last year's Christmas crackers. I also use some store-bought tissue paper with Christmas patterns. Use whatever papers you have at hand. Even napkins work great. Just make sure when you use napkins to separate the layers. I start by tearing the papers into small pieces. Because we use glue, we will now treat each little rectangle as if it's its own little painting, but we will still do similar things in each block as if it's one big painting. We don't want the glue to go over the tape as it will prevent us from pulling the tape when we're done with our painting. As usual, I add the opaque papers to the first layer, covering some but not all of the ink and lines I made. I leave some of the white areas. At this stage, I'm adding the same papers in each block for continuity. However, I'm not gluing them at the same exact spot of each block. For artists and creatives, especially those living with chronic illness or fatigue, the holidays can bring pressure to feel festive, to keep up, to smile when we're running on empty, or to feel joy on command. But royal joy doesn't always shout. Sometimes it takes the form of rest. Sometimes it means slowing down. Sometimes it means to do something just for you, with no deadline, no plan, and no pressure. Painting with paper can help you do all these things. So if this season feels heavy with emotions, try sitting down with your paints and collage papers. Let your hands move slowly, without a plan. Let the materials speak for you about what hurts, what heals, and what hopes you have. Remember, your emotions don't need to always match the season or what others expect from you. You're allowed to feel whatever is true for you at any specific time, whether it's joy, sadness, fatigue, overwhelm, or all of them at once. Let your art give you a place to keep and work on your emotions. For the next layers, I decided to cover some of the blocks with a whole piece of tissue paper. Because they are transparent, the bottom layers that I've already done will still shine through. You can use white napkins with a pattern on it to do the same thing if you prefer. In the other blocks, I use pieces of these same papers. My aim is to make each block different, but still cohesive. Each color, each brush stroke, each torn edge is a small release. You don't have to create something perfect. You just have to show up for yourself, gently. Let your joy find you quietly, through the rhythm of creating without expectation. Add as many layers as you want. I do not think I added more than 3 layers. And I left some parts white without any papers added to it. As you layer, notice the textures, how they overlap, how the colors work with each other. There's no rush here, no wrong way, just you, your hands, your collage, and this moment. When life feels chaotic, collage reminds us that beauty can come from fragments. Pieces that once felt separate come together to make something whole. I feel that the red papers I added are too bright and that I need to do something to tone them down. So I add more gold and silver acrylic ink, the same way as before. I'm done with mine, but feel free to add a few marks with paint pens or any other supply if you want to. I make sure my collage is dry, then I pull the tape. If you struggle to pull the tape, heat it with a hairdryer to soften the glue. You can use a craft knife to gently cut loose your collage from the tape if you accidentally went over the tape while gluing your papers. If some of the substrate come away with the tape, start pulling the tape from the other side and gently glue the paper where it was torn if needed. You will now have 8 little abstract Christmas-inspired collages. I cut these 8 little collages apart from each other. and then trim them smaller to fit on the cards. To make the Christmas cards, you will need cardboard and cut your own cards, or blank cards of envelopes that's already folded. You can buy those at any craft store from Amazon or Temu. I thought I still had blank cards, but the only ones I had was a few square ones. I also don't have any cardboard to use. I then remember that I bought a box of Christmas cards a few years ago, and I decided to see if they will work if I repurpose them. They are perfect. You can use a glue runner, double-sided tape, or a glue stick to apply your own collage to the card. I haven't had any luck using a glue stick, as usually the adhesive isn't strong enough. I prefer using the double-sided tape. I did use a tape runner here, but I think my glue in my tape runner was also not strong enough for the papers that I added. Make sure to put the glue or the tape as close to the side as possible. Firmly press your collage down after making sure that you have placed it down correctly on the card. Once it's stuck, it's stuck. Remind yourself during this busy time of year that you're allowed to take a break and make time for yourself, to rest, to do art, or to go on a walk, or do whatever gives you some peace and quiet. If you want to, you can use a silver or gold acrylic paint pen or Sharpie to go around the edges of the collage on the card. When done, you have 8 unique Christmas cards to use and to share the love and the joy of Christmas with others. Share in the comments if you're going to try this technique for your Christmas cards this year. I hope this process helps you to connect with yourself and your emotions, and also with others. If this video brings you a moment of calm, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need gentle support too. And if you like more gentle encouragement and creative moments like this, subscribe and join me here. Let's remind each other that heartfelt art still matters. However you spend this season, I hope you give yourself permission to rest, to create slowly, and to find joy, not in how much you do, but in how gently you allow yourself to just be. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye.